Knowledge of truth can only point to what is false. Words travel through the mind, and the mind moves through what is already known. Words that point to what is truth itself, nameless and alive, can be received through hearing or reading. Still, every reception is shaped by the filter of memory, experience, and identity. Just like light passing through colored glass, pure clarity bends and changes as it enters the listener. The colored glass gives it color, and the color becomes what the listeners call understanding. But what is understood is not what is. Understanding without experience is what the filter allows to be seen. This is why truth, whether heard or read, rarely makes sense to the conditioned mind. From the mind's perspective, there is no way to know whether the words point to truth or illusion. There is no direct experience. Yet, by chance, a quiet clarity behind the filter senses something. Something unspoken, something unseen. It stirs a subtle attention, a desire to know more. All that is received is still filtered through memory, experience, identity, and yet quietly the listener or reader leans closer without knowing why. The mind loves its rhythm, its colors, its reflections and refractions. It wants to keep interpreting, defining, naming, and in that moment it stays blind to what shines behind it. That is why sometimes silence speaks louder than words. In silence, the filter has nothing to hold on. It cannot twist or translate. It cannot claim or understand. In that stillness, what is behind the mind becomes visible, not as something new, but as what has always been here. When silence is met without resistance, the mind begins to dissolve into its own source. The same light that once passed through the filter now shines directly. This is why endless discussions, teachings, and debates can never lead to clarity. The more words are exchanged, the more the filters are entertained. Words compare, words agree, words disagree, but they never disappear. And yet, when words arise from the same stillness, silence, they carry the fragrance of what cannot be said. They do not belong to the filter. Words are used only as a temporary bridge. Still, most listeners cannot recognize it because the filter, which is the mind, wants to stay alive. It wants to hear what it already knows. But when words are heard not through the mind, but through the same silence, stillness they come from, they no longer inform, they transform. That is why silence is the truest teacher. It gives nothing to the mind, so the mind has nowhere to go. And in that pause, what is real begins to reveal itself, not as something new, but as the end of misunderstanding. In that silence, awakening is not achieved. It simply awakens from the mind's dream of reality.